Welcome back to the Death Ray Cat channel. I'm going to show you a really easy way to play some chords. If you're struggling with weird shapes or just learning chords, if you're a beginner, here's a little cheat to get around that. If you're more advanced, this is still going to be useful to you. We're going to use Pills by Diddley as like a framework for this lesson. I'm going to start off with the basics, and then later in the lesson we're going to add little things to make it a bit more intricate. But for now, grab your guitar, let's start playing. I'm just going to use two fingers for this. We're going to start on the A string, and with your ring finger, that's going to go on the 3rd fret there. Then with your middle finger, you're going to put that on the 2nd fret of the D string. Okay, so you've got two notes there. Should sound like that. If you play them individually, it's going to sound like that. If you play them together, you've got that. Now this little shape can be moved around. This is part of the secret. We can move that anywhere. Up and down the fretboard, it's going to sound cool. And back. And we can also move it down a set of strings, down in pitch. And we can move it back up. And we can move it up so we're starting on the D string. That also works. So we can move that up the fretboard, up and down the strings to a point. If you go further, if you start on the G string there, because of the way the guitar's tuned, it's not going to work so much. It does work on the B string as well, B and E strings. Just to narrow it down a bit, I'm going to be playing in 3 positions. So, like I showed you, on the 3rd fret of the A string and 2nd fret of the D string. There we go. We're also going to play it starting on the D and G strings, and we're going to use it on the E and A strings. So always the 3rd and 2nd frets. You can see this little pattern emerging, and that's basically what I wanted to show you. We can play a bunch of songs like that. Now you can play around with that yourself and find your own songs. So it is useful to know what notes you have on your fretboard. For example, if you play your open E, there's an E, you've got an open A and an open D. If we are to move to the 3rd frets here, we've got a G, we've got a C, and we've got an F. Now, where your ring finger is, with that little shape, or the lowest note, that's going to indicate what the root note is. So, like I said, 3rd fret on the A string is a C. If I play that little shape there, we've got a C. Same with the F. I know this one's an F here, the 3rd fret on the D string. That's the F major 3rd. It works on the G as well, so open E, up to 3rd fret is the G, play your little shape, you've got G major 3rd. So if you know your chords, which you might already know a G major and a C major, you might notice that when you're playing those chords, you've got your little shape that we've just learnt in there already. That's what I mean when I'm saying this is a little cheat. So if you're struggling to get a C chord, then maybe you can just focus on those 2 notes there for now. Same with G. If that's a problem for you for whatever reason, maybe just stick to the lowest 2 notes there. And when it comes to the F major chord, it's a bit of a bar chord, it's a bit of a tricky one. To keep it simple, I know I've got an F here on the 3rd fret of the D string, and with that little shape we've got the major 3rd. So now I know we've got a C, an F and a G. So if I wanted to play the Bo Diddley tune, I'd go from a C to an F, back to C, then to the G, back to C, F, C, and a G and a C. So that's the progression for the intro and the bridges in that song, and the chorus. The verses are slightly different, but it's exactly the same idea. We're just playing those chords in different orders. So there we go. So that is the basics of that song. If you want to play it more like the record, there's a few little subtleties there. So he's playing more of the full chord there. So if we're playing, for example, if you want it to play a full C, all you need to do is add your first finger onto the first fret of the B string for that note there, which is another C, and then leave your G string open. You've got your two notes that we were looking at earlier with an added open G, and then you've got your C there, and then you could also play your top E, although I'm not hearing it in that song, and then you've got a C. And then for the F, all you need to do, you can leave your first finger down there and move your ring and middle finger up to the D and G strings. Then you got this like mini chord shape. And then with the G, you would take your first finger off, and you could open up the rest of that chord. You could let your D, G and B strings ring out. So there we're still kind of not playing the full chords where we are with the C, but with the F and the G, we're playing like sort of abridged versions of the chord. Let's tune up a little bit. Okay. Another little thing there is like a little run up to each chord. So before you're going into the C, you could play a G, A, B, C. All notes in the C major scale there. And then we can do the same pattern again. So from the C on the A string, we can go third fret on A, open D, second on D, and third on D. Back to your F there. And then when we're going down to G, we can also do a little run, so we can go 3, 2, open on the A string and third fret on the E. So we're kind of joining those little mini chords up with small little runs there. Which can go up or down. So that's pretty much what I wanted to tell you about. If I was a beginner, what I'd probably do is just grab some of those mini chords there, just the 2 frets. And just jump around between those 3 chords. Just get your hand used to like moving around in that space. You can make your own little progressions up. Go as slow as you like. And then yeah, you could maybe try add in the fuller chords. And then eventually yeah, have a go with it, play around. You can even stick to one string. There's loads of fun to be had there. So I'm going to leave you with that. I'm going to transcribe the Bo Diddley intro, and I'm trying to do it as close as I can to the recording. There's a few little subtle bits, like it's pretty... it's kind of different every time he plays it in the tune, so I've done it as best as I can. And yeah, if you wanted to play along to Pills, the Bo Diddley version, you'd want to stick your capo or capo on your first fret. You wouldn't be playing a C anymore, it'd be like one semitone sharper, but all those shapes are going to stay the same. Hope that makes sense. I hope you can take something from that. I'm going to have the intro tabbed out in my Patreon. I've got loads more lessons and backing tracks and tabs on there. So come and say hey, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.